Hey, Facebook. Hey, everybody. Elizabeth Nader here. So glad to be back with you tonight. We are on New Jersey Women for Trump. We are also on the New Jersey Republican page, Make New Jersey Red, and the Morris County Committee page. So I'm thrilled tonight to bring to you one of our amazing legislators and candidates in the Republican Party, Assemblywoman Serena DiMaso. Serena, welcome to New Jersey Women for Trump.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for having me. I'm very excited. It's my first time here, but I've watched your broadcast a couple of times, and it's always been really what we need in this state. So thank you.
Well, absolutely. You're already famous because every time Bill Spady comes on, he talks about you. So, it was inevitable that we have to have you. Yeah, exactly. Have you on the page. But, there are a lot of people that know you and others that this will be their first introduction. What we're trying to do really now in this primary season is we want to give our Republican candidates exposure to the entire state. This is a season for us to start supporting everybody across the state that's running. And of course, you are already in a position, Assemblywoman, but you're running again, as is everyone else. You are in the 13th district, which is Monmouth County. So I want you to tell everybody who you are, what your background is, because I think you have a fabulous resume. So introduce us to Serena.
Well, thank you. Well, Serena is first and foremost a mother of four and a grandma to a brand new baby boy.
Wow.
4 months old, and really, truly, what they say is true. It's the light of your life. So that's, people say, what's your legacy? I think that's it. But I'm married to my husband, Jerry, for, let me see now. We've been together a really long time, since I'm 18 years old. So 30 years. And he's really so super supportive, and I'm so lucky to have somebody that supports me and supports my career the way he does.
Yeah.
My career, I like to say, started with a cupcake, and many of you may have heard the story, but when I first moved to Homedale, we were really not allowed to be in the PTA. It was kind of a clique, and they told me, well, you can sell cupcakes, which, okay, I'm that kind of gal. Whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do. If that's what's going to help move us forward, then that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
And what I didn't realize is that they gave me the opportunity to talk to 40 to 50 parents a month, asking them to bring cupcakes in to sell to their little cherubs, and those kids, 40 to 50, hundreds and hundreds of kids, and 40, 50 parents giving back their stuff. And so it kind of launched my political career. I like to joke about it, but when they asked me to run for township committee, and unfortunately, women sometimes need to ask to run instead of getting up and doing it themselves. They said, hey, you could be mayor someday. And I thought, okay. And so I ran and I won, and I eventually became mayor of my town. And when an opportunity became available to be the freeholder, and I will always be a freeholder.
Thank you.
Opportunity, and was a Monmouth County freeholder for 6 years. So 11 years on the township committee with 5 years as mayor. And now I'm in my third year of representing the legislative district 13. In Monmouth County, and I love it. I love giving back to the people. In my spare time, I am the chair of Bayshore Medical Center now Foundation, and on the first aid squad. And I chair and co-chair events all over the place, from ARC to food bank to wherever I can help. So,
well, you are the real deal, Serena. I mean, you're committed so much to your community. And I love the story of the PTA, the cupcake, because there are people listening now. I say this every time. There are future senators, future assembly people, future just mayors or county committee or any city council, something. And it can start anywhere. You just have to say yes to the smallest of things. And all of a sudden you find that you can add value. And I know that you also are really revered for your work as an EMT. I think it's a really cool part of who you are. In fact, the first time we talked on the phone, you had to go because you had an emergency. You actually do this. You serve the community. And I think that gives you an interesting view on, what people need, and you're able to really help people in a different way than most politicians can. So I think that brings something unique to the table. I want to talk about, we'll get kind of the elephant out of the corner, because this group, of course, is it's a pro-Trump group mostly. And, we're still kind of hurting from DC. And there was a resolution that was attempted, to be passed in New Jersey. And, You didn't sign it. So let's talk about your views of DC, and let's talk about that resolution and why you didn't sign it.
Well, the resolution, while I don't like to abstain, I like to say yes or no, but that resolution, it just went too far. It talked about, condemning the violence, which of course we all condemn that violence.
Of course.
That's not who we are.
No.
And it also talked about mourning the death of the police officer, which my father was a police officer. My sister just retired from the New York City police captain. So I'm a police family. So there's no way I would ever vote against that. But then they went on to just put the president on trial without a trial. Yeah. And so it just went too far for me. And so there was just no way that I could sign on to that. And it's unfortunate because it was political theater. And it really it isn't worth anything but the paper it's written on. And then for them to say, oh, she didn't vote, or she did vote. And it's a shame. It's a shame because we could come out and condemn the violence and mourn the life of that police officer as a unified body. But it just didn't happen that way.
As a unified country, we all condemn the violence. I mean, I think that's a given. Why do we even need to answer that question? And of course, any lives that are lost are not okay. But I think it also reveals what I call the hypocrisy of 2020, which is, the fact that things aren't the same depending on what side you're on. So let's look back a little bit at 2020. Let's talk about that hypocrisy from the shutdowns of small business, but big business staying open, right? The fact that you could riot, burn, pillage, and without a mask or with a mask, whatever, and it's fine, but you can't get a few people together to go down to Trenton to tell the legislators what you don't like that they're doing. There's a lot of hypocrisy. How do you, as a legislator who basically your power had been stripped from you, how do you feel about this? How did you deal with this all year long and your inability to really balance out what the governor was doing?
Well, it isn't easy. Quite honestly, we have tried to put forward through hostile amendments the ability to bring the power back to the legislators who were elected, along with the governor. The people elected 121 representatives, and 120 of us are being left out.
Right.
Maybe there's one or two in, maybe the speaker and the Senate president are not being left out, but the rest of us are.
Right.
And, we did in fact bring up the fact that the hypocrisy of this resolution that they tried to put forward. And Assemblyman Robert Orth actually quoted, many of the high ranking Democrats and their call for no justice, no peace in different forms, and quoted them and asked why was that any different? They have no answer, of course, but it's heartbreaking that we cannot represent our constituents the way we were elected to do and the way that the people of New Jersey deserve to be represented. Right. And I truly hope they remember that when they go to the polls. And and here's the other problem I think we have, Elizabeth, is that people say, not my legislator. Well, yeah, it is your legislator. Right. Look up their votes. Look up and see how your legislator voted, because it is your legislator, because nothing's changing. The legislature isn't changing, and neither is what's going on in New Jersey. So it has to be a legislature.
Yeah, it has to be. That's right. And so we're still under an emergency order, and that expires. I think this one expires in a week or two. I'm losing track.
It won't expire because he will end it once again.
Right.
We've tried to fight him on the Emergency Powers Act. We've tried to, put in that you have to come back to us. Assemblyman Brian Bergen has put forward several times. I mean, our speaker, our leader has asked to, it's just so frustrating because it is constant. And now they were bringing us in for a short while. They were bringing us into vote, and now they put us back to the phone, which
they did.
Yes, our last two voting sessions were over the phone, and that is almost impossible to make a cogent argument when you're on the phone and you're waiting to be heard, and you have to tell them ahead of time that who's going to speak. You can't just ask to, like, if you're on the floor and you hear them say something that's utterly ridiculous, you can press your speak button so that you can rebut it.
Sure.
If you're on the phone, if you didn't already ask to speak, you can't speak.
Yeah.
It's well, I guess you can butt in and, call in to, yell out that you want to speak, but it's almost impossible. It's not the way to govern. It is not the way the New Jersey residents deserve to be governed.
No, and I don't know that they all are aware of how bad it's gotten, right? And how It's awful, and how really all 120 of you have been muted, frankly.
Yes.
And, it's the tyranny of one right now. And I think, who's paid the price for that is across the board. But I want to talk to you about small business, because back to, the hypocrisy of 2020, the fact that we could all go to Target, to Walmart, to big business, but small business, absolutely, the governor has his foot on the neck of small business. We've lost now 30%, I believe, have closed. And I don't see it get any better. I know you have tried to help the restaurants. You want to talk about that bill that you co-sponsored for the restaurants?
We have a couple of bills. The first one we did, and it did actually pass, was we made a deal with Grubhub and DoorDash and stuff, because they were really, and I get it, it's a capitalist society. And yes, when we all have to kind of pull together. So for you to be charging upwards of 50% to small businesses, that's not really fair either. So we made a deal with them. They wouldn't charge more than 30%, and everybody was happy with that. But we codified it in legislation so that all sides, there's no monkey business going on.
Excellent.
But we've recently tried to pass a couple of bills for the restaurants, which have been vetoed by the governor. Now, we just passed an emergency bill similar to the first one that he vetoed, hoping that the couple of complaints that he had about it, and it's just simple, to allow for them to still serve alcohol outside the footprint of their building. We understand that it's cold out, but a lot of them now have had tents put up.
Right.
They have heating companies coming in, and not to allow them to be able to serve alcohol outside the building is hurting them. Not to be able to, not to allow them to sell alcohol to go is hurting them. And just, in fact, not to allow them to have the footprint outside the building. Right. Them. So those few things we put into place. The governor vetoed it. We did put it back up this past to Monday of last week, and it did pass unanimously once again. So, you have a bill that passed unanimously through both houses, and the governor vetoes it. It just shows you that he's still holding down the government, that the people elected. And we pushed very hard to get small business open during Christmas time or holiday time. A jewelry store, that's when they make their most money. So to have these businesses not have anyone come in, and not by appointment, I mean, it took a lot of pushing and a lot of cajoling and just to get that done. And that's just, to me, it just doesn't make sense that you would do that. And yet, again, you can go stand in line at Walmart, or, and hundreds of people can be in the Walmart and or Target or Costco. I mean, the line outside of Costco was, because I'm a first responder, I was able to go and cut the line because they knew I had to get in and get out.
Right.
People will work wrapped around the building to get in. How is that safe?
It's not. Again, it's more hypocrisy. And I think one of the questions that people just don't understand, and we're not able to answer it, is why are you the arbiter of who wins and who loses in this economy? And there was never any plan behind it. One thing I think the most glaring thing missing from his administration is transparency. Now, you're an EMT, your husband's a doctor, so you're in the medical world. What science is he using, Serena? What are his goal markers? What in the world is the data that's driving the decision? I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. Just one thing, I'm an EMR, which is a little bit different than an EMT, but
okay.
So, and some of my EMT friends would prefer that I make that correction. So
okay, EMR. Okay.
So, I've actually have another bill, and it's passed through the Senate unanimously. It passed out of the Health Committee unanimously. I can't get the speaker to post it. I'm on the bill with Herb Conaway, and it is just that. It's the transparency. It is the numbers and the data and the science that he's using to keep us closed down. The Senate, like I said, passed it unanimously. I'm waiting for it to come to a floor vote. I can't get it there.
Why?
I don't know. We've had newspaper reporters write stories about it. We've sent a letter to Speaker Coughlin asking him to please post the bill. I can't get it posted. I mean, that's the one, like, you want to talk transparency, then tell me. I'll follow whatever you tell me. If you tell me that 5 chickens and 4 donkeys and 3 elephants have to, pass a COVID test before we get out, fine.
Let's know what it is.
Right? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but that's what we'll do. Whatever, please give us markers. Early on, I asked the Deputy Chief of Staff to give us a marker. Tell us if X is going to happen by Y date, this is what will happen. He asked me if I thought I should give people false hope.
Oh my gosh. Give them data.
Right. That I'm not asking for false hope. I'm asking for what markers are you using to keep us shut down?
Right.
You know that there's no transmission in restaurants. We follow that very carefully when we talk to people.
Yeah.
With the contact tracers,
right.
they're not getting it from restaurants. Yet restaurants are still at 25%.
Wow.
We watch restaurant, and then now on not only at 25%, but they're closed at 10 o'clock. So on a Friday night, what's going to happen? On a Saturday night, what's going to happen? People don't go home at 10 o'clock. They don't go to books. This isn't, the middle of the country. This is like the Big Apple. We're supposed to be out and having a good time.
Right.
So what do people do? They go back to somebody's house.
Yeah.
So they're back somewhere where if there is some kind of contamination available or out, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If they could stay in the restaurant till 11 or 12, where it's clean and they take good care. Mary Lou Halverson, who is the New Jersey Restaurant Association director, she's doing a phenomenal job. She came up with 3 plans for each section: hotels, for catering halls. Catering halls are getting destroyed.
They are. Yes, they are. Right.
And then restaurants. And her plan was phenomenal.
Nothing. This is crazy. I want to just camp on this for a minute, because a lot of people listening are saying, what do we do? Can we influence this at all? So you had a bipartisan bill that passed the Senate, and it's being squashed right now. It's not being brought up. So what can people do to put the light on this? I mean, can we do a calling campaign to everyone?
Would be helpful, or call the speaker's office, email the speaker's office. With all due respect, he didn't even reply to my letter.
What's the bill? What's the bill number, Serena? And if you don't know, we'll post it afterwards.
Yeah, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I'll get it for you.
Yeah. So this
5529. I'll find it.
Okay, but it's the bill on transparency, basically asking the governor to tell us, what are you using, what's the data, and give us the goal lines, and stop moving them, by the way, whatever they are.
I like to use that little goalpost thing that moves all over the place. That's what I feel like. I'm not. I couldn't kick the football through the uprights if I tried.
Right.
And moving them's only making it worse.
Yeah, no, this is crazy. And it's not about giving people false hope. It's about giving them relief and knowing that we will, at some point, what makes sense, we will get past this. Perhaps he's trying to hide the fact that it's not as bad as he says. I don't know, but I can't understand why he's hiding that information from us.
Well, I do get information 2 to 3 times a week from the Hackensack Meridian network, and because of my position there, and I have to tell you, it is from what I see from them, it's not as bad as the first wave. The first wave was bad. We didn't know what was hitting us. We didn't know what was going on, but we're lucky. We have treatments now. We have things that we can do for people, and we can take care of people. So where Hackensack Meridian had probably a couple of thousand people in the hospital, they only have about 800 now, and 800 is a lot, but it's manageable.
No, but this is information that we don't get, right? And that's a ray of hope. I mean, you're saying, as a medical person and having that information, you're saying that it looks like where I am, that the second wave is not as bad as the first. What is so bad about giving people that insight and that hope? And by the way, that dovetails into also the schools, giving parents an idea of, when will our kids be back in school? This has created such a maelstrom. What are we going to do about the schools? And we've got the teachers union and their approach and all this. How does that all get resolved from your vantage point?
The teachers union came out and said, we want to be on the list to get the vaccine. So that's a plus.
Right.
Bill Spadia has spoken a lot of times about how we all know the kids really are they can carry it, they can give it to you, yes, but they don't really get sick from it.
No.
And teachers build up the immunity. I think I think we're also personally breaking down our own immune systems by walking on and all that. But I do think that the DOH has given out, and the DOE has given out, such convoluted information that it's unfortunate that each school district is confused. Like, so my school district in Homedale, we go to school every day. Go to school from K to 6. They go full time, morning right to the afternoon. And then high school kids go high school and the middle school go till half a day, and then they have 2 virtual classes in the afternoon because kids can do the virtual classes.
Right.
But yet we have other school districts that aren't open at all. And it's because it's confusing to them what the data shows, right? What an outbreak is, when they should shut down, who should be available. And then a lot of them also say that they have a problem with teachers coming in. Well, allow for the teachers, and Homedale does this. They allow for the teachers to teach remotely.
Yes.
So they have an aide in the classroom, and they put the teachers on FaceTime or however the Zoom or whatever it is, the platform they use to teach the students. But they have someone in the classroom, and you could really get just about anybody then. You can get a substitute teacher. You can probably get a parent to come in and help, a lunch aide, so whoever you can get to come in and help the students. So we really need to get the kids back in school.
Yeah.
It is, quite frankly, I've said it many times, the damage on the psyche is going to be immeasurable. The kids have been in school for a year.
Yeah.
It's up on a year. It's not good for them. It's just not, they need to be social.
They do. And the things that are being taken from them, we can't replace. I mean, the experiences, and I think, we go back to the spring and we all recognize that nobody really knew at that point what we were dealing with. And there was a definite unified response of, the 2 week, flatten the curve, that we were all willing to do the 2 weeks. And I think, as Americans, we tend to do the right thing in that regard. I think now we are so far past it, and there's such a lack of understanding of why this is all happening, and not a unified response from school district to school district. And now, as parents of young children, trying to explain to them why life has changed so much for them, and not being able to give them a ray of hope on when this ends. So this is this in alone, the school issue. I think everyone listening who has school-age children we're frustrated. We're very frustrated. If they're young, we're homeschooling. We don't want to be doing that. If they're older, they're missing things like graduation and events that we can never give them back.
Right. And the other thing we have an issue with is that he's allowed for sports to start, but there's no spectators.
Right. Exactly.
That's the joy, right? Like you want to make, if you're a basketball player, you want to make that layup, and you want your mom and dad to scream your name out. And, so we're pushing that. The Shore Regional here in my district, that coach and that principal are pushing to allow for spectators. If we can let spectators into football games, because there's dollars behind it, then we can let spectators into parents to see their kids play.
Of course.
Socially distance them, which I hate those 2 words, but hopefully one day we never have to use them again.
I do too. We just need common sense. Let's bring those 2 words back. How about that? How about we bring common sense leadership back? So still on the school issue, the other thing that's got people really upset, and you know what I'm going to say, is this what's A4454, I think it is. This diversity and inclusion bill. Let's talk about what it really is, though. It's indoctrination. How scary is this bill?
It is scary. When we the first time it came before us, we were on the floor for it, and we were able to make some good cogent arguments about why it's not necessary. And my colleague Jay Weber did a phenomenal job.
Yes, he did.
He was just really terrific. If we teach children, so we're falling behind in our country from what we used to be the mega house, powerhouse, and we're falling behind because we keep adding stuff to the curriculum. And so basic things like math and reading and science aren't being taught. But you know what else isn't being taught? History. And that's why we have a problem. If we taught history, if we taught the children exactly what happened and how historic, about people like Rosa Parks, about people like, Norma Ray, about people who stood up and took back what was rightfully theirs, then they would learn from that. And this diversity thing to start in kindergarten, it was huge all over the internet not too long ago. The 2 little children running to each other, one African American, one white child, running to each other and hugging each other and loving each other. That's what children know.
Yes, they do.
Why are we going to teach them that they're different?
Right.
They don't know they're different. So we're going to teach them that they're different. Let's teach them to be kind and loving, and let's leave it to parents to teach their children what's right. And if they come to school and you see something is not right, then you can help correct it.
Yes.
Put it as part of the curriculum when we really need to learn basics like alphabets and, when to use a comma, and math. I mean, we're just overwhelming our children with items that are just not.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous. And once again, we're stripping what should be in the home. We need to do these things in the home. That's where these things need to start. Once again, it's more overreach. Now that bill has passed both houses, has it not? So it's going to the governor. Is he expected to sign it?
It's on his desk. He conditionally vetoed, I think, the first time, or they knew he would change some things. So it went to the Senate and it came back with amendments. And that's why it had to go through us the second time this past Monday, and it was over the phone. And again, over the phone, it's almost impossible to argue. I think that's maybe part of the reason why, because that we were 6 feet apart. And I mean, it was a little bit difficult, to be honest, because I was on the floor and had to vote for 3 of my colleagues, including myself, because everybody was spread out through the gallery and what have you. But I would prefer to do that than to be on the phone. And quite honestly, some of my colleagues don't know the alphabet, so you have to call their name a couple of times, and it takes really a long time. And so it's just not the way we're meant to govern. Hopefully we get back to the floor. Hopefully, we get, to be able to govern the way we're supposed to govern. Our democracy is truly being eroded.
It's being eroded. And there's definitely a feeling of disenfranchisement from all corners, that we have not been represented. We elect our representatives for a reason. We are not set up for one man to govern us or one woman to govern us. And the frustration is growing. And I wonder how you see that coming through in the election. So we've got 120 seats, House and Senate, and we've got the governor. So it's 121. Everybody's up this year. I know you are running again, which is great. We need to continue to support people like you. But how do you see this election going? How do you see the governor field right now taking shape?
Well, the governor field, Jack Ciattarelli is a presumptive nominee, except that I just heard just before your broadcast that Joe Vicari, the Ocean County freeholder, threw his name in the ring this past weekend. So I don't know how that shakes things up. And what support he'll get from where, I'm not really sure how that'll free up, how that'll work out. Certainly, I'm a proponent of primaries. I'm not a proponent of ripping people apart in a primary. I think what you're going to do for me, and let the other guy explain his votes, sure, but let's not rip each other apart and bring all kinds of stuff into this, because that only gives the opposition lots of ammunition. I think that was maybe part of the reason why David Richter lost. They had such a contentious primary that when it came to the general, Andy Kim, he didn't lose by much, but it was enough to make people have pause. So, we need to. So, but I honestly, they say that Governor Murphy has great, he's very popular now, but that can change on a dime. Politics, 15 minutes in politics is fast, and 15 minutes in politics is slow.
No, that's true. But it's hard to understand the 60% approval rating. And I guess the only thing I can chalk it up to, and everyone I talk to, is just fear. And I think he trades in fear. And when people are afraid, they hold on to what they have. And perhaps that's why he has that rating. Perhaps it's not a valid poll. I don't really know. But do you see, beyond the governorship, do you see an opportunity for Republicans to finally be in power in either one of the houses? I think the Senate is the one that has the most possibility, but give us some predictions there. Do you think we have a chance?
I do think we have a chance. Senator Weinberg is stepping down, and she was a champion for a lot of things. And they're going to have a primary for that seat. So just the opposite's going to happen there, more than likely, right? So a Republican can squeak in there, and that, so in the Senate, we need to flip 5 seats, which, is a big lift, but not so bad if we really pull together. And the Assembly is a little harder, so it might take a couple of cycles. But I think that, if people can't sit home. No. People can't say, I voted and they cheated and it's fraud. You can't do that, because then they win.
Then they win.
We'll always win if we stay home.
Yep,
and,
I agree.
Abraham Lincoln, I believe, said it only takes for, only evil to win for good people to stop doing something, or I'm paraphrasing.
Yes.
Really, really what it comes down to. It comes down to the fact that we need to make sure that good people stand up and good people get going. And unfortunately, politics has turned into like, who wants to do this?
I know.
I've had doubts myself, like, you're getting beat up and you're taking time away from your family. But I always come back to the fact that I don't think of myself as a politician. I think of myself as a public servant, and a public servant doesn't give up. I'm here to serve people. And so back to Murphy, I think that this rollout of the vaccine might be the end of him, because it is absolutely atrocious. I've set up a beautiful place in Bell Works where I can do 400 to 500 vaccines a day. And let me just make it clear, anybody who wants the vaccine, I will never support a mandate for this vaccine.
Thank you. I was going to ask you that. Thank you for making.
No, I would not make this max. As a matter of fact, I don't really like vaccine mandates to begin with. Certainly, Lifesaver, polio, MMR, those things are proven. We need those. But chickenpox vaccine, ridiculous. Anyway,
too much.
The rollout of this vaccine, when I have a place that we can do 400 to 500 vaccines a day and give people and get the vaccine so we can get open again, right? That's, I think, a lot of my seniors just want to see their family and they can't. Yet I can't get vaccines. We asked for 4,000 for the VNA. I'm working with the Visiting Nurse Association of Central Jersey, and we got 1,400. That's for the entirety of the Visiting Nurse Association in New Jersey. And they want to say it's from the federal government. Okay. So I called Chris Smith's office. They called me right back. No worries. We'll get the CDC on it. We'll help you. So right now we're kind of in limbo, hoping that for January 25th, we'll be able to open this site.
It's been mishandled. It's been mishandled. Now on that note, one of your biggest fans, Bill Spadia, keeps telling me every time I talk to him, Serena needs to run. Serena needs to run. So when is Serena running?
Serena needs to rev up to run.
Okay.
When Doug Steinhardt dropped out last week, my phone just started blowing up.
I bet.
And I said, first of all, I'm flattered, right? But I'm in the Assembly 3 years. I'm really very, very good friends with Kim Godano. I love her to pieces. Yeah. And she's like, listen, it took me a year to rev up. You got like 8 minutes. So
yeah, exactly. No time at all.
I certainly will think about it. It is a family decision that has to be made. It certainly won't happen because I missed the deadline in Ocean.
Yeah, so, that's true. You have missed that now. But Serena,
25 is not out of range. So we'll
okay.
See.
Okay. Well, we're going to hold you to that. We'll have you back on and ask that question. I think you would be amazing. Really, I think you would be a breath of fresh air. But you are running for your position again for Assembly. So how can people help support you? Where do they go? How can they work for you? How can they donate? What do you need them to do?
They can go. I'm on Facebook, Assemblywoman Serena DiMaso. I have a Twitter account. You can follow me on Twitter. And my Instagram account, I do have Instagram, but it's really, I don't really do it a lot. So it would be not worth your time to go there. I throw up a baby picture or something. Yeah. And certainly, if on a separate note, if people need help with anything, we're helping people with Department of Labor issues. I have thousands and thousands of constituents that have had trouble getting unemployment and even their federal dollars. So please, my office number for those that are listening is 732-444-1838. And you can reach out to us there and we can help you, or at assemblyaswdimaso@njledge.org. If you want to reach me personally, it's just serenadimaso@gmail.com.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Serena. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Oh, my pleasure.
We know you will be back in office, and we're looking forward to maybe in 4 more years, something bigger from you. You're definitely standing up for all of us. We appreciate the bills that you've sponsored, the voice that you have, and this is the future we need to look forward to. So we're all saying, don't flee, but fight, stay involved, right?
Yes.
Stay involved and vote.
Yeah.
Vote red.
And vote. And if you're out there, if you're really worried about being a queen, be a queen maker. So
nice.
That's,
I love it.
Do your part one way or another. So everybody should be involved, and don't go away, because we need as much help as we can get.
We do. Thank you so much. I couldn't have said it better. Serena, thank you so much. We're going to have you back on in the future. Everybody, go support her. This is who we need fighting for all of us, even if you're not in her district. This is a year to support good candidates in other districts, definitely. Serena, we appreciate you. We'll have you back. And thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
See you guys. Yep, we'll see you guys all next week.